Hello and welcome to my third video blog. I'm sorry it's been a bit of a wait since the last one, but the course is absolutely full on at the moment. We're in week 10. Tomorrow is a week to go before I have to submit 6 tracks and 2 sets of commentaries. The good news is that all 6 tracks are complete, and they're also part of the 5-song challenge that we've got over on Home Studio Corner, so that's great news. One of the commentaries is complete, and I'm hoping to have the other one done tomorrow. We've got some final reviews in the next couple of days, and hopefully by Wednesday I'll be able to submit these. And these are the ones that count for marking for this phase of the course. The not so good news is that it would appear I've got long COVID, which explains why I've been fatigued for the last 6 months now. With brain fog, and after the last blog it got particularly bad, and for the first time in my life I actually felt quite depressed, but thankfully it's getting better and I'm learning now how to manage it. So now that I'm just learning that an awful lot of other people are in very similar positions, I can sympathise with what people are doing or what they're going through. One of the main reasons that I did this course was to get honest and open reviews, because as good as the live stream is on Home Studio Corner, I think we'll probably all agree that generally the comments generally tend to be on the positive side, with the occasional negative but done in a certain way. Here on the course we've got 2 ways of doing that. We have peer review sessions, which are a bit like the live stream, where we play tracks, but obviously there's less of us. There's generally about 8 to 11 tracks being listened to. But the great thing is that people can contribute and really get critical with the feedback, and that's how you really improve. To fine-tune that, we have one-to-ones, which I've mentioned in the previous blog. And during this period of the course, I had a one-to-one with Billy Decker. Now, you may not know the name. I didn't until I read Sound on Sound last April. When I read about his book, and because when you think about it, when we go through the mixing phase, we do an awful lot of repetitive stuff. We set up lots of high-pass filters, we get EQs ready, compressors ready with basic settings. And that can all be done in a template. So all you need to do then is import your tracks, and that's a lot of the time is saved that way. And Billy Decker is renowned for his speed of mixing, and he's got 16 country #1s to his name over in America, so he knows exactly what he's doing. And I used his template method on Alexa Pour Me a Gin. So I sent him 2 tracks for him to give me a review, and the great news was that overall he was very pleased with the quality, which is obviously a testament to his template as well. And he gave me some good pointers about maybe moving the vocals a little bit further back and slightly lowering the mix. But yeah, we're going to be seeing a lot more of him in the next phase of the course, which is mixing and mastering and collaboration. Prior to the course, I really haven't done the lyrics for probably over 20-25 years. I've left that to Jill, but on this course it is called a Songwriting and Music Production course. So I mentioned in one of the earlier videos, the 5-song challenge came along at a really appropriate time. I read Ed Bell's book on the art of songwriting, which was very useful, but I wanted to see where my lyrics were at in terms of consulting a professional. So I contacted Ella Walker, who's professionally known as Wiles, who's an up-and-coming singer-songwriter. And overall, she said she was really pleased with the lyrics, but particularly on the song Supposed To, which was initially Happy Birthday. She said, well, what's your take on the song? And I said X, Y and Z, and she said, well, that's not in your lyrics. So I learnt there that if you're going to write a song where you want to put a message or a story across, is to put your own viewpoint on it. So that was a great lesson there. And then last week I asked her to listen to the 2 tracks that I had recorded for the lyrics that she'd analysed, and again some really positive comments. But she felt on some of the vocals that I could really go to town a bit more with delays, and the message I'm getting more and more on the course is just keep going for it, add loads and loads of stuff without obviously getting things muddy. but particularly on the vocal side, until we'll tell you that you've gone a bit OTT. So yeah, learning some really good stuff. Another bit of good news is that the album, which includes the 5 songs for Home Studio Corner, is complete. One of the tracks is called Page 42, which a few years ago I was reading the Daily Mail, and there was the usual political and celebrity tittle-tattle in the various pages, and I eventually turned over to page 42 to be shocked when I saw the headline that 235 people are being killed in a mosque in Egypt by IS. And that was the trigger for writing that song. I had a course member, John Cutliff, do acoustic guitar for me on that, because one of my goals on the course is to include a lot more organic instruments. And John is an interesting character. He's got a great sense of humour, a bit like you, Adam. But he's actually an ex-professional musician. He was in a band called Fad Gadget, which you may or may not have heard of, but you will probably have heard of Alison Moyer, who was the backing singer in Fad Gadget before she left to form Yazoo with Vince Clarke. And John was with Mute Records in the 90s, but he won't mind me telling you this, but he got involved with the usual excesses of the industry, and you know, basically had to go into rehab. He's been supporting his wife for the last 10 years. He said, look, come on, I know you love your music, get onto the course. He's a key member, he's our course leader now, and he's a wonderful guy, great musician. And it was an honour to have him play acoustic guitar on that track. And I also asked Hershey if he'd play electric guitar on it as well, so that was excellent. And that really added to the ending of the song with his very sensitive guitar playing on the end. Another track called Supposed To, which has got a great vocal by Steph, who normally performs for my project Season 3. And I recently mastered an album for Scott Parker, and in a throwaway line, if anything I can do in return, well, yep, I got Scott to play power chords and electric guitar on the song, and it just lifted the song so much by having a live musician play. So a bit of collaboration there. Don't worry, Adam and Simon, I haven't left you out. I'm going to be asking you to collaborate, please, on my final project later in the year. But that's the 5 tracks. Now, they don't make up an album, so I needed to have some instrumentals. And I've submitted these as part of this summative. Now, the summative is meant to be where you play safe, and it's the formatives, which I've submitted previous tracks to, is where you're meant to experiment. But one of the things I put in my personal development plan was that my music has been a bit safe, and I've been a bit too safe, which is hardly surprising when I spent most of my career flying aeroplanes and working in an oil refinery. So I decided not to play safe and set myself a rather bizarre challenge that I would only use instruments that I've made in Contact, which is the sampling instrument, if you're not familiar with it. I sampled my piano as part of the organisation called Piano Book, and I then sampled Jill's soprano melodica, which made an absolutely amazing pad sound, which I'll highlight when I play the track later. I sampled the granddaughter's crocodile xylophone. I didn't need to do much of that, because actually it sounds pretty cool when it's sampled. I'd already recorded Jill and Steph's voices for E's, R's, Oo's and M's to produce sort of like backing ear candy. So those instruments were already, but I've never actually used any of those Contact instruments I've made in my own music. So I decided to use them, and the feedback I got from the course was pretty amazing. I did the first one is the prologue. And if you're old enough to remember the Penguin Cafe Orchestra, I remember back in, I think it was 81, 82, they had a track called Telephone and Rubber Band, where they start off playing a simple riff and then just keep adding instruments to the riff, and that's how the epilogue track goes. And at the end of it I introduce the headlines coming for the 5 songs that appear. And the prologue is using exactly the same instruments, but this time supporting the melodies that you will have heard during the 5 songs. And again, really pleased how that has turned out. I needed a filler in the middle because we've got to submit 8 to 12 minutes and I was about 20 seconds short on one of the assignments. So the album's going to be called Yesterday's News, and the sample of a female text-to-speech saying that appears. And so I again set myself a challenge to actually only use instruments that I'd made from that sample. And again, that proved to be quite enlightening. So so what I'm going to play out now is, because you haven't heard any of my new music since the album, or its EP, sorry, 1984 was issued back in the early January. So this is Yesterday's News, the prologue, and look forward to updating you in the next vlog. Thanks for listening.
Yesterday's news. Yesterday's news. Yesterday's news.
Day before retirement,
Mistress Lord Lover to death with cake. Mistress Lord Lover to death with cake.
235 killed in Egypt as IS
235 killed in Egypt as IS bomb pressure.
Campervan driver killed wife and crashed into lorry.
Campervan driver killed wife, then crashed into lorry.
Bodies of brother and sister found at the foot of Dover Cliffs.
Bodies of brother and sister found at the foot of Dover Cliffs. Yesterday's news. Yesterday's news. Yesterday's news.